When you picture a millionaire, what comes to mind? Probably someone who's really made it, right? A fancy car, a gorgeous house, and a retirement fund that just keeps growing. On paper, it looks like they've checked all the boxes for success. A seven-figure net worth, financial security locked in, life's big money problems solved. But here's the secret almost no one talks about. If you take the value of their house out of that equation, the number of actual millionaires drops, and it drops fast. What's left tells a much different story about wealth, retirement, and what it truly means to be rich today. Let's start with the basics. A millionaire is someone with a net worth of $1 million or more. Net worth is simple. Add up everything you own, then subtract everything you owe. Your house, car, investments, and savings are on one side. Your mortgage, loans, and credit card debt are on the other. What's left over is your net worth. It sounds straightforward, but here's where it gets complicated. The real debate is about what should count. Should you include assets you'd have to sell to use, like your home? Or should only liquid money, the cash you can actually access, matter? Mathematically, net worth has always been total assets minus total liabilities. And that includes the house you live in. But the story completely changes when we shift from net worth millionaires to what financial experts are now calling investable asset millionaires. This is someone with at least $1 million in assets that are either cash or can be easily converted to cash. We're talking about stocks, bonds, retirement accounts, and mutual funds. Things you can sell without needing a real estate agent or finding a buyer. For most people, this means subtracting one huge item: their primary home. And once you do that, the Millionaire Club gets a lot smaller. According to recent wealth research, about 24 million Americans have a net worth of $1 million or more. That's roughly 9% of all adults. Sounds pretty good, right? A nation of wealthy people. But hold on. When researchers only count liquid, investable assets and remove the value of the primary home, that number plummets to around 6 million people. That's only about 2 to 2.5% of American adults. Think about that. For every 100 people you see at the store or at work, maybe only 2 of them actually have $1 million in accessible wealth. The kind of wealth they could use to retire, invest more, or live off of without selling their home. The rest might be homeowners with a high net worth on paper, but their wealth is locked up in something they can't easily spend. And this is where the illusion of wealth starts to crumble. Imagine a couple in their late 60s. So from the outside, they look wealthy. But in reality, their wealth doesn't function the way you'd expect. It highlights a critical difference between having a high net worth tied up in property and having real, accessible financial freedom. Imagine someone living in a modest rented apartment. On paper, they have $1 million in index funds and cash. If they wanted to, they could stop working tomorrow and live off their assets. They don't look wealthy, no fancy house, no luxury cars, but their money is working for them, growing and creating income. Their wealth is mobile, flexible, and usable. This is the essence of financial independence. Now picture another person who also has a net worth of $1 million, but it's almost entirely locked up in their beautiful, expensive home. They are a millionaire on paper, but they don't have the same freedom. This gap between paper net worth and true financial independence is one of the biggest misunderstandings in personal finance today. And for millions, the difference comes down to one thing: their house. For decades, homeownership was sold as the American dream. It was a built-in savings plan. You made your mortgage payments, and your house value went up over time, making you wealthier. A home provided stability and a sense of progress. For many, it was the first and only major asset they ever owned. And in many ways, it still is. But here's the catch. Your home isn't an income-producing investment. It doesn't pay you every month. In fact, it costs you money. Think about it. Roof repairs, plumbing issues, landscaping, insurance, and property taxes. These are all expenses that drain your cash flow without adding a single dollar to your spendable income. Your wealth is real, but it's trapped inside the walls, bricks, and land of your property. You're wealthier on paper, but not necessarily richer in practice. This becomes crystal clear during retirement. You see millions of retirees who look wealthy because they live in homes worth $600,000, $900,000, or even over $1 million in states like California or New York. But their day-to-day life tells a different story. They're clipping coupons, putting off medical care, driving old cars, and delaying home repairs. It's not because they don't have a high net worth. It's because their money isn't liquid. They are house rich and cash poor. To unlock that wealth, they have to either sell their home, borrow against it, or use a reverse mortgage. But each choice has its own set of trade-offs. Selling a family home means letting go of decades of memories. Borrowing against it adds risk later in life. It's a tough spot to be in, trapped between the comfort of staying and the financial relief of leaving. Now contrast this with the person who spent years consistently investing in retirement accounts and index funds. Their home might be part of their net worth, but it's not the main pillar. Their wealth is in accounts that grow, move, and generate real income. This gives them options, flexibility, and stability, three of the most valuable financial advantages you can have. This is why movements like FIRE financial independence, retire early, don't focus on home equity as the key to wealth. For them, wealth isn't about what your house is worth on Zillow. It's about how long you could live if you stopped working today. It's about freedom and sustainability, not status. When you look at people who became millionaires simply because their home values skyrocketed in cities like San Francisco, Seattle, or Boston, a pattern emerges. They didn't get there through strategic investing or passive income. They became millionaires because their location turned their house into a luxury asset. But often, their lifestyle, their financial stress remained exactly the same. They had the title of a millionaire, but not the freedom that should come with it. You know, it's funny how we talk about millionaires. We see the headlines, the flashy numbers, and think, wow, so many people are hitting that milestone. But there's a huge question hiding in plain sight. What kind of millionaire are we talking about? Let's break it down. When statistics say there are millions of millionaires, a huge chunk of that wealth is tied up in their primary residence, their house. And that's great, but it paints a misleading picture of financial freedom. It's what I call house rich, cash poor. Your net worth looks fantastic on a spreadsheet, but you use a piece of your living room wall to pay for groceries or fund your retirement. Think about it. Wealth that's trapped inside a lifestyle you're struggling to maintain doesn't create freedom. It creates pressure. You're constantly worried about property taxes, maintenance, and the mortgage. Your biggest asset is also your biggest liability. That's the silent truth behind the whole millionaire conversation. When we ask how many people are millionaires without counting their home, what we're really asking is how many people have built true financial independence. We're asking about liquid, productive asset stocks, bonds, businesses, investments that actually generate income and can be accessed without selling the roof over your head. And the answer to that question? It's a much, much smaller number than most people think. But please, don't let that discourage you. In fact, this should be incredibly empowering. Why? Because becoming a millionaire through your house value going up is often just a matter of luck, buying in the right place at the right time. It's a byproduct of circumstance. But becoming an investable asset millionaire, that's different. That's almost always the result of conscious choices and deliberate actions. It comes from consistent saving, even when it's not a lot. It comes from long-term investing and letting the magic of compounding do its work. It's about actively avoiding lifestyle inflation. You know, that temptation to spend more just because you earn more. It means choosing growth over the appearance of wealth. It's playing the slow, steady game instead of chasing quick wins and fast validation. Take someone like Keanu Reeves, for example. The guy has been a superstar for decades, with more money than most of us could dream of. Yet, he's famous for living a relatively simple life, far below his means. He understood early on what many wealthy people eventually realize. Money's real value isn't in buying stuff. It's in buying peace, independence, and the ability to live a meaningful life on your own terms. The real goal isn't just to own $1 million home. The real goal is to own your time. It's the freedom to wake up one day and know that all your bills are paid, whether you decide to go to work or not. It's living in a house you truly chose, not one you feel trapped in because your entire net worth depends on its value. It's about building a life where your wealth isn't just a number on paper, but a dynamic force that flows, grows, and supports you when you need it most. So yes, millions of people are technically millionaires. But far fewer are millionaires if you don't count their home. And an even smaller group has built that kind of liquid, flexible, and resilient wealth that truly turns numbers into freedom. The next time you hear about wealth, ask yourself the real question. It's not just about whether someone is a millionaire. It's about whether their money is working for them, or if it's just locked away inside four walls they're still struggling to afford. That distinction makes all the difference. Thanks so much for watching. If this idea resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that goes beyond the surface of personal finance. See you in the next video.